Hello and welcome to the tutorial video for Animated Tiles 2D. This is a plugin for Unreal Engine and is standalone, meaning it can be brought into any 2D project to enhance it. The system replaces static tiles with actors at runtime on begin play at the same world location that the tile would normally appear. The demo relies on PaperZD for animation states and notifies, which is how we get footstep sound effects based off the type of tile located under the player's feet. PaperZD plugin is not required for the Animated Tiles 2D plugin, but can further enhance it. Now we're going to look at a demo of what this could look like in action. We have two different types of interactable items here. We have the gems and the acorn. We can run and pick them up. They'll disappear. And then we also have in the top left corner of all of these grass sections, we have an animated flipbook that's just moving up and down, nothing too crazy. And then up top here, we also have AI using wall and edge detection, just moving back and forth. They're just in the background. And then we also have water tiles down here, which if the player collides with, will reset them. Now I'd like to go over how this plugin works, what's included, and how we can expand upon it. So if you open up the plugin, you'll see that it just has a number of blueprints within it. The most important one is the BP Tilemap actor. If we start with an empty map here, you'll see my level just has a post-processing volume. If we drag that Tilemap actor and we set it to 000, the origin, you'll see it already has a couple things assigned to it, an empty paper tile map, and we need to replace with our own tile map, and then the data table, which is right next to it here in the plugin. This is where we can kind of start to look at the way this plugin is set up and such that it uses inheritance as like the base for if you want to expand upon it, or if you just want to use it right out of the box, just test its features. You can do so with just dragging, dropping what it has into the levels and experimenting with it from there. For the tilemap actor, it will need a data table always. And so in this case, we're using this one right here, but it's not filled out, so we'll need to fill it out. So the first thing we need to do is get some textures. So I'll create with Control-Shift-N a new textures folder here. We go in here and I'm going to drag and drop a couple textures that are free open source. You'll see when I first drag and drop them in, they don't look that great. You'll see, yeah, looks pretty bad. So the first thing we want to do is make sure that their paper 2D textures settings are applied, so that they actually start to look nicer. And now we can take these sprite sheets and extract their sprites from them. So we can right click any of these textures, extract sprites. You can see here auto is not that great for the extraction method. And the cell width, we can see that we have 5 here, so we can just divide this by 5 and we can extract those. Now we get our 5 sprites and we can put them into a sprite folder. And so this is for grass. So these are where the sprites are going to live. And we can always, everything looks nice. And so now we have our texture grass and our sprite grass. For the sprites, you can right click all of them, select them all, right click and create the flipbook for flipbook. We'll do B. So this is our animation, right? And so now we can slow this down to something that's much slower and looks more natural. And then we can actually take this and again, in here we can do flipbooks. And so with here we have grass. So we go in here and copy that over. So now with this flipbook, this is what we can use to make our static tiles actually be animated. So this section of the grass, right? So we go back to our textures. And so the tiles main here, the section of the grass that we're looking at is this top left corner, right? And so what we'll want to do is actually right click this texture and turn it into a tile set. So this tile set is what we'll use to paint our tile map with. And so we can see here that the tile size is 32 by 32, so we should update that to be 16 by 16. So we have this little section here of this grass that we just created our flipbook animation out of. And so we'll call this within this user data name here. We have grass 0 for this section is what we'll call this. And so this is the name, this is extremely important. This is the name that we'll be using in our animated tile data here. So we'll go ahead and go to the animated tile data. Again, this is within the plugin. We could create our own table. But yeah, basically this row name here, you can hit F2 or double click it. And we'll call this grass 0. So this row name needs to match whatever this user data name is. That when the TileMap actor goes through the tile map and it looks at all these tiles, you can pick this one out and be like, okay, based off this name, we'll do this, we'll find this row name here and we'll update it to whatever this flipbook or actor class is. In this case, we'll give this guy the flipbook grass 0. And so now the final step is to do some painting. So we can take this tile set and create a tile map from it. And so we'll do TM, add it to the back end there. So now we have a tile map. And so we'll just put this, we'll just create a new folder here. It's TileMaps. Clean this up a little bit, looking good. So here's our tile map, which we can now finally replace our tile map actors tile map with this tile map here. You'll see it just expanded a little bit. So if we go to the tiles main tile map, you'll see that this is just one layer and it's pretty small. It does have collision if we want it. So let's just bump this map width and height up to 20. But you'll see it already has our tile set here. If we had other tile sets, we could just click this little button up here. The like 3x3 and select, but right now we just have a tile set to go through, so we'll just be selecting this guy. And so this, if you ever recall from the tile set here, we've given this user data name information. So now we can left click metadata tiles here, and we can see that this one has something and it's called grass 0. And so now if we take this and we paint it anywhere in our section here, we save that, we can see that's actually here now. And so if we select off that, we can see that here's our little tiles here, which are normally static, but through the power of this plugin, it will be using that user data to, instead of just leaving that static tile, it will create an actor with this flipbook assigned to it. So we hit play, and we can actually see, if we zoom in here, that all of these guys are now actors, and they're all children of the tile map actor, which you can move back and forth, you know. Yeah, so now we're going to move on to a harder example. So this plugin is all based off of kind of like the inheritance design which Unreal started with, and how most of the systems designed to be like utilized. So as I said, you can create your own versions of all these things and assign them as you want. And so we kind of, I did the same thing with objects here. So if you wanted something where the player like falls to their death or whatever and they have collision, you can just make a blueprint that inherits from the death tile. In this case, we're going to do something a little more complex. We're going to be doing AI and have it kind of walk across here. So what we need for that is we need to go back to our textures, and we have our little snail guy here. So I'm just going to preemptively, in our flipbooks and our sprites, create a snail. So now we're going to take sprite action and extract the sprites from our snail. Again, auto is not great, so we go to grid. You can see here it already gives us 224 for the width, and I see a max of 7 guys here, so we'll divide that by 7 and vertically divide by 3. That will give us all the sprites here. The one we'll want is this bottom section here. So if we look, we have some empty ones. And this is the last that we actually care about. So these guys, we'll copy all of this in for now into the snail section of sprites, but the ones we want for this like idle movement are just 14 to 17. So we'll just select those, then create our flipbook from that. Now we have our snail doing its thing, moving along. Cool. So maybe it's something more like that. Cool. So now we can take this snail, and we could just assign it to you know, something in a tile set, yada yada. But if we want this thing to actually you know, be in the world, then we'll need to create a new folder with blueprints. And so we can right click and go to blueprint class. We drop down all classes. We look for AI. Let's do BP AI. You'll see it's of the paper character BP AI. So this is from the plugin. So we'll open that guy up. We'll name this guy our snail. So this is a snail that you'll see basically already has a lot going on, because if you click in the top right here, we have this ability to edit the parent actor. So if we open that up, you'll see that there's all this stuff here for, you know, collision detection, and it's already set up with a lot going on. So in our case here, we're inheriting from that, and so a lot of stuff's already going for us, but something that we need to now add to this guy is definitely the idle animation that we want. So here's our little snail guy, and the way the collision works for the wall and edge detection is with just these little boxes. You can do ray tracing too, but for this example, I'm just doing just collision boxes. So we have this guy, and he's looking cool, but he doesn't move yet. And so the way we want him to move is with his character movement. You'll see that there's this simple logic here to just move him forward. And so for these demonstration purposes, we can have him move forward based off of, you know, whatever signal we want. And if we want him to continually move forward, we would do that based off tick. So going back here, we see our little guy, and we'll have to update that as such. We'll want to be using systems of concern, which separates distinct sections of code and function. So the way we'll be doing this is with a AI controller class. In this class, we will name Snail AI controller. And so the first thing we'll do is we'll go back to our snail. We'll search the defaults for AI controller class. We'll assign the snail AI controller to it. And then inside of the snail AI controller, we just want to, on possession, we will assign this possessed pawn, snail. In this case, as soon as the snail is possessed, or yeah, as soon as the snail is possessed by this AI controller, we will take this and we will, well, we actually should cast this to the snail. Go. So this will actually give us what we want. So here we have, get rid of this one, it's just a pawn, but we actually want the snail itself casted. And the reason for that is because with this, we will be saying move forward, right? From that BP AI blueprint, which our snail is inheriting from. So this snail inherits from the BP AI, just calls move forward. And so in this case, all we have to do now is we can do this on tick or whatever, as long as the snail is valid. So we can right click it and say, you know, get it when it's valid. And then on tick, this will just run forever. And then this will make our snail move back and forth. And as long as our actor tick is starting with tick enabled, this will just run forever. And so now all we need to do is add some collision to make this snail move around. So we'll go back to our tile map here and we'll just pull out some of this and start making the actual, like, you know, places to move around and whatnot. You can also erase tiles, and this is all the same layer, so it should collide fine. But we do need to add collision to this. So we'll go to our little guy here, tile set, and there's no good way to do this really fast. So you can just go to all these sections that you want to have collision on, then add boxes to them. And you'll see that now I have, with the colliding tiles, there should be collision there now. And so if we go back to our level and we save, when we run the game, we can see all of this is looking good. Yeah, and so now those should have collision on them, and so we should be able to add our snail, which means to do so, we will have to right-click our snail and create a tile set from it, and then we can use this tile set within the tile map now. So if we go to the tile map, we now have an option to bring out our snails. You'll see that it's not quite right, and so we need to go back to the tile set. And if you recall, the dimensions here are a little more funky than usual. Since I am checking this out quickly, it's 32 by 21 is what it says here. Just now tile set 32 by 21. And so that should be perfect for all of these. And so for this guy, we can just say snail 0. So this is where we, again, do the very important part of the user data name. We say that's snail 0. We go back to our animated tile data. This is where we update the row name to snail 0. And now, instead of a flipbook, we will assign a class. In this case, it is our Snail AI guy right here. So now we need to apply the snail to some places. You'll see this has updated. So we should be able to put them, well, yeah, that doesn't look that great. So let's add a new layer so it'll be on top. A couple of them here and there. And now we can check this out on level. Snails are looking good, doing their thing, going back and forth. However, it might be too fast or too slow for some people. So we can go to the character movement component of the snail actor. We can look at speed, and we can adjust it down even further. Snails are supposed to be slow, right? Yep, and now we see them doing their thing at a good clip. So now to talk about the plugin, there is an animated component to it. There's a little bit of component design, but it pretty much just stems from this BP animated component. The various actors here, right, all of these blueprints inherit from BP animated game object. And what this thing is, beyond having tick off for performance reasons, but you can always turn it back on if you inherit from it, is basically just contains the BP animated component that I'm describing here. This BP animated component just has a flipbook that we've assigned to it via the animated tile data, and it also allows us to do cool different min-max play rates. So let's say the grass is looking a little too static for you. We can assign a min-max here, and it will pick that randomly. And so now when we play, you can see grass going crazy in some places and a little bit slow in others. So that way you don't just get the static feel where everything is the same. Now, as for some extras that this plugin offers, I'll take us back to our demo here. And what's cool about this is that with the interactable items, you can actually test the interaction by simply going to this interaction location down here. And you can click that, and it will show you what it would look like as if the player had interacted with it. And so this is just an exposed function to the editor. So you can do that for all of these, and you'll see that they properly even get garbage collected and cleaned up. Finally, something else that's pretty cool is for the player. If we go to the PaperZD folder, within the player folder, we have an animation blueprint, and this is where we have the ability to check and see what kind of floor the player is running on. So the way we handle this first and foremost is we need to go into is using the PaperZD plugin. There are notifications for when the player's foot is down, and so it's on those frames that we care about to send the notification out, running or walking. And in both those cases, we look and we get that notification. When we do, we can do a ray trace down to see what the player is colliding with as they're stepping, right? And so now we want to see what that collision is hitting. And if that hit component is a paper tile map component, then that means, okay, we've hit this tile map. Otherwise, we can fall back to default. In this case, we just do grass. But if we've hit the paper tile map component, then that means we can look at the tile map actor for that and the location that we've hit, along with, in this case, the gameplay layer, which is the layer that we've collided with. And what this does is it gives us that tile user data. So it might be like grass 0, grass 1, etc. Wood 0, wood 1 is the example I'm using here in the demo. So as long as you're able to find those strings, right, and you're naming everything that could be interpreted in such a way, then the way I get the floor index from the tile user data is just this simple dictionary, which has those strings. So it just looks if there's grass within the tile user data. And if so, then that means that we're stepping on grass. Otherwise, we're stepping on wood. Yeah, thanks for watching.